Hey guys, if you carry a gun, you know that having the right holster and right gun belt makes all the difference in the world. I've went through dozens, if not hundreds, of different holsters and different belts, and trying to find the right comfort, the right support, it can be a real challenge. And about 6 years ago, I did a review on this $30 gun belt and absolutely loved it. I wore this belt every day for like 3 years. And eventually, just from body sweat and use and wear, the leather does start to kind of thin out a little bit. It does break down. When I first bought this belt, you see how it's kind of like sagging in the back? You could hold this belt and it stayed like a perfect circle the whole time. And now it's just kind of flimsy. So I ended up buying like a nylon type one, like a Stealth Gear USA. I don't know. It was like $60. And again, this is like 3 or 4 years ago, and absolutely hated it. And then I tried a couple others from Vetter and some other companies. And I ended up buying another $30 gun belt, but the price had increased to $35, which they still are here at the end of 2023. I try to keep my pockets as free as possible. So for years, I carry a lot of stuff on my belt. So obviously, I keep my firearm right up front. I carry a flashlight over here. I have a Leatherman that has extra stuff with it and extra flashlights. I keep pepper spray over here, my phone there. So it adds a lot of weight to the belt. So I really need something that's very supportive. So it's been about 3 years for this belt, and I can tell it's starting to lose some of its support. So, as luck would have it, the folks over at Core Essentials reached out to me and said, "Hey, would you be interested in testing out one of our gun belts?" And I'm in need of one right now. So I said, "Absolutely. I've seen their stuff for the last few years. I've kind of always been interested in it. And I thought this was a great opportunity." So I figured we'll do a real quick unboxing. That way you can see kind of how the belt comes and what we have to do to prepare it for our belt size. So we obviously have this box. This appears to be just some of their gear. They have a ton of different buckles, different types of belts themselves. You can go to their website, which I'll leave that down in the description later. So here is our sizing instruction manual. The belt actually comes shipped to fit waist sizes 24 to 44 inches. My waist size is a 36, and they recommend adding like 3 or 4 inches to that when you cut. So I'm going to cut it probably at 40. If I find that it's still too big, I'll take another inch or so off. But there's a QR code right here that you can scan for a video that shows you how to cut it. But it's going to show you how to put on the belt buckle, and I'll kind of show you guys some of that too. They include the little tools and screws to tighten the buckle down to the belt. And here we have the buckle. That is pretty heavy duty. And it looks like there might already be screws in it. So those screws might go to something else. I'll have to look through that and see. And then they include a hanger. This is nice if you have multiples of their belts. And I'll figure out exactly how we use this too. And then we have the belt itself. So I always run a 1.5 inch gun belt. That way I know it's going to fit in my jeans and shorts and all that stuff. And they have 4 different styles for 1.5 inch. And the difference is really kind of like some of their weight ratings. Like they have a tactical one that has a 10-pound rating. That means you can put 10 pounds of gear basically around it. I just went with the traditional leather one, which has a 4 to 6 pound rating. They have a Western one. They have this USA made one. I think that's a nylon type one. It has a 10-pound rating. And then one down here that's called Armor Tech that looks and kind of has a feel to leather, but I think it's a little bit more durable and lasts a little bit longer than what leather does. So yeah, what I ended up going with was the brown buffalo leather gun belt. You can see it's $40. And again, that's the size that it comes in. They do offer a larger size than some of the other belts, I think up to 54 inches. And this was the buckle that I chose. It's called the X2 in gunmetal, and it just has some like grooves and stuff in it, not completely plain up in the front. You can see those are raised, and those are $20. But they honestly have dozens and dozens of different types of buckles. So again, I'll leave a link down below so you can look at everything they have. So before I get this belt cut and buckle installed and stuff, I want to show you guys this here. This is what they call their power core center. So basically sandwiched or hidden inside of this leather belt is this material here that keeps it rigid, prevents it from sagging. So I showed on that other belt when I held it up how it would sag down. Now I'm not going to say this is not going to do the same thing over time, because the other belt, when I bought it brand new, it would do the same thing. But you can hold it and it keeps that perfect circle right now. I'll show you guys some up close here of the leather and the stitching. This here is what Core is kind of known for. This is their ratcheting system that basically gives you like 40 adjustments in quarter-inch increments. A lot of belts go by like the half-inch, and so sometimes you're a little bit too tight or a little bit too loose, and having the quarter-inch is nice. That was actually one of the main reasons why I bought that $30 gun belt, is they had basically it's more holes than other belts, but this is that system there. And once I get the buckle installed, I'll show you guys how that works. And then over here, if this will show up, we have all the different sizes that we can cut this to. And again, I'll probably start at 40, and then if I need to take more off, I will. I don't want to go too short to start and then have the belt be too tight or look kind of funny. I like having the excess go through just the first belt loop after. So I typically like about this much going through to the other side. So we'll figure that out here in a bit. So I was about to cut this belt and get that buckle installed. And I mentioned earlier that they recommend adding 4 inches. That's only if you're planning on carrying your gun outside the waistband. If you're doing it inside the waistband, you're supposed to add 6 inches. So I'm going to start at the 42 since it said to add 6 inches. I think that's going to be too big, but I'd rather start there and then take more off if we need to. And it says you can cut it with a pair of scissors or with a serrated knife. And as you can see, I'm just cutting straight along that. All right, so I got that chunk taken off. I'm going to try this buckle, and if it works at this size, then I'm going to come back with a lighter and kind of singe up some of this stuff here. You won't see it. The buckle will cover all of it, but I'll still clean that up some. Again, I might have to take a couple more inches off. We'll see. So the buckle, we're going to take that included Allen key, kind of loosen up these couple screws. And then you want the buckle to where this like cam release is pointing down. So don't go the opposite way with it. And then also I'll show you guys these teeth that basically hold the belt in place. Really, these are just like an added layer of security so the belt wouldn't come out. But really the teeth is what technically holds us in. You see these teeth right here? So you pull this thing back, and then once the belt slides through here and you flip this back over, these teeth grab down into that belt, and then basically this locks in place and pretty much prevents that belt from moving. And you can see the screws sticking down in there, so I need to get those up high enough to where the belt will slide all the way through. And so you'll just take your cut end, slide it into the buckle all the way up until it gets to that stop point right there. Bring that back down. It's going to be pretty tight at first because the teeth are digging into that. Basically, it's secured as it is right now, but I'm going to go ahead and tighten those back down. And those screws, you don't have to tighten them like crazy tight. Just go to where they're basically flush or smooth with the buckle. All right, so let's kind of check out how this ratcheting system works. I've never done this before, so We're just going to put the belt in, and then once we get here, it should start clicking. And basically, once you get there, it locks it into place. Like, that will not move. I can move the other direction still if I need to go tighter, but it locks in there. And then I put that cam release on the bottom. So I think just by moving it, yep, we can just slide back out. So just with the touch of that little button there. So let me flip this upside down so you guys can see what I'm doing here. So you can see that there's this right there. And when I move that, it allows me to adjust for whatever I want. You know, again, let's say that you got your belt on, you're this tight, and then you eat a big lunch and you need to go a notch or two less. You just move that and it just slides right back out for you. But that is super strong. All right, so I'm going to try this on real quick to see if this size is okay or if I need to go a little bit shorter with the belt. All right, I just tried this on. Definitely a little bit too long. I'm all the way almost to the next belt loop. So I'm going to take at least 2, if not 3 inches off, but I'll start at 2, see where it's at that point. And just in case any of you are wondering, those are the holes from those teeth. That's kind of how it digs into it, and then the holes from the screws. All right, so I got that other piece cut off of that. This seems to be a good length for me. It goes through past the next buckle. Still got a couple inches that sticks out, so it still gives me some room for adjustment here. And then, as I mentioned, I'll just take a lighter just to kind of singe up some of these loose little ends here. So this little hanger that they included is actually pretty clever. You can hang just buckles on it, full belts, but you just push it on, obviously hang it up, and then when you want that belt to come off, you just push that and it slides right off. But yeah, pretty cool design. It also has the spot right there where you can put your Allen key. So if you want to quickly change out your buckles, that'll always be there. All right, so up next, I'm going to swap this out on my jeans. Probably wear this thing for a week or 2, so it might be January before I come back with the end of this review. But I actually want to use it and see if it's supportive, see if it's comfortable, because if it's not comfortable, you're not going to want to wear it. So we'll be back and give some honest thoughts on it. All right, I want to show you guys how the Core Essentials belt works with my primary carry holster. Just so YouTube knows, I'm working with a completely empty gun, no ammo in the magazine either. So I generally appendix carry, but I don't carry right at the 12 o'clock position. It's usually offset of the buckle. I know some people will move their buckle over to a side or something, but usually like 12:15 is a comfortable position for me. It conceals well. There's no printing typically. And it's what works for me. But really what I want to show you here is how different holster clips will basically catch or hang on this belt, which is what you want it to do. I've had other gun belts that are so thick that it was hard to get the clip over top. I've had others that are so thin that if you move the wrong way, it can pop off. The Core Essentials is pretty much ideal size. And I mean like the thickness of this right here. So like the depth of it. So I know it's kind of hard to see, but I'm trying to get these underneath here for you. So on the bottom of this DCC monoblock clip are these metal little hooks. Let's see if I can get this popped off here to show you guys. And you will get some scratches and stuff like that. If they're not too deep, you can actually just take your thumb and rub across. And for the most part, it'll take it away. I put this on and off every single day for over 3 weeks now. And it still looks practically new. But you can see those little spring clips right there. That's what goes in behind the belt. And I'll show you this wearing it here in a minute. But basically, as you go to draw your gun out, that's what holds the holster to the belt so the whole thing doesn't come out and just the gun comes out. And here's a cheap plastic holster. But you can see there's that little lip that comes back there. So I'm going to slide this one on and then show you what that looks like. So again, I know it's kind of difficult to see, but that is that lip that I was just talking about. And then that's the bottom of the belt. And then basically once that's on there, like it will not come off of there until you pull this up and then slide it up and off. And this is the Core Essentials belt on. And that holster, once those little clips go over top of that, that thing is so secure. As you can see it, like there's no movement whatsoever. And this here is another one of the added benefits of the belt is if you're like on a long car ride or sitting at a restaurant table or something like that, you can literally just put your finger there at the buckle, move that and loosen that a little bit. And that makes things so much more comfortable when you're sitting. And then when you go to stand up, you literally just slide it back across. So I started wearing this belt on December 13th. It is now January 4th. So I've had at least 3 weeks to wear this belt every single day, all day long. So I figured I'd share some of my thoughts on it. First thing is, it is very, very supportive. I showed that I carry multiple things around my belt. I don't know how much weight it is total, but it's probably 2 to 3 pounds anyhow. No problems with support at all. It's stiff enough to support everything, but it's not too stiff that it becomes like uncomfortable to sit or walk or anything like that. I typically wear a belt 15 to 16 hours a day, and I pretty much have all that gear on there pretty much all the time. And this has been extremely comfortable. Just everything about the Core Essentials belt feels premium to me. It's like they use premium materials. It's like quality made stuff, constructed really well. I love having these 1/4 inch ratcheting adjustments. Again, you know, you eat a big lunch or something like that, you just can move the little lever a little bit and give yourself some relief. I really like the overall appearance or look of it. I think it's pretty stylish. This is something that I could wear with khakis, obviously jeans and shorts and stuff like that. And then they do make that black one, which you could wear with like black dress pants or whatever. They have another type of brown leather one. But overall, I do like the appearance of them. And like I mentioned early in the video, they have dozens and dozens of different buckles. If you don't like this style like this, there's so many to choose from. I really like that little adjustment lever on the back there, that cam release lever. That's been so helpful. Like I said, driving or if I'm sitting at a restaurant, those are the two times that I always kind of feel like my gun kind of pushing into my stomach a little bit. And literally you can just push up on that a little bit and that just slides into any spot that you want it to be. And then when you stand up and start walking, you literally just push that back over and it tightens your belt right back up for you. It's such a clever design. I mentioned earlier in the video that the belts are around $40 and the buckles are around $20. Core Essentials did provide me a discount code for you guys. I'll put it up on the screen here, and then I'll also leave it down in the video description. I don't get any type of kickbacks or anything like that. It just gives you 10% off if you decide to buy something from them. So obviously, instead of it being $60, it'd be $54. And at this point right now, this is going to be a product that I'm going to highly recommend. I'm very, very happy with it. Now, this is not a long-term review because I've only had it for 3 weeks. My other belts, I typically get about 3 years of use out of it. So hopefully I get somewhere close to that out of this belt. But all right, guys, I'm going to be wrapping this one up. If you found this video helpful or informative in any way, please give me a thumbs up. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them down below. And that's going to be it on this one. Thanks for watching. I appreciate it.